Okay, so this is going to be quite an interesting one. So, if you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know this, which is the Tamiya TT-02 with the Toyota GR8 body. And it's only been my second attempt at building a Tamiya kit, and it's actually what has gotten me back into radio control racing. Because, for those actually new to the channel, I did used to race at Frome Radio Control Car Club with a Tamiya M03, which is somewhere in a shed or in the garden. I'm planning on digging that out and getting that running again. But the reason why we stopped doing it was because it went to transponders, which were becoming a bit of a standard race thing for racing at the time. But we weren't able to afford the transponders at the time, and they were quite expensive back in the day, so we kind of... It wasn't really my decision as well, because I was young, I was 8 years old, or probably about 7 years old by the time that this was happening. But anyway, none of that. Transponders now have been a lot more cheaper to buy than they have been previously. Some people do think that they are quite expensive for what they are, and I can understand why, but it beats what we would have had to pay about 20 years ago. But anyway, so on Friday the 13th, which I think is going to say a lot, I took this thing out to Frome Radio Control Car Club. So I actually went there in July just to go and watch, because I have been away from the scene for a very long time and I wanted to check out who there. Some faces I did recognise, and some faces I haven't seen for a very long time. But me racing this thing for the first time on Friday the 13th felt like a bit of a mistake. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I only ended up encountering 3 different gremlins involving the car. So the first thing to start with, actually, before I do go into the first problem, I put this down for the TC class, TC touring car, you know. But when I got there, I was actually moved to the novice class, which I understand, because had I been away from the scene and they wanted to test my driving skills before I was being put with the faster TCs. But I didn't actually find this out literally until the race had started. So as soon as I found out, I rushed onto the track out with this car. Thankfully it was all ready, so I didn't really need to do that much malarkey. Now, the way I documented my races, well, I did actually have the GoPro on my head with a head strap. It is somewhere in here, but I'm not even going to bother getting that down just to demonstrate for a few seconds. But because of the fact that I had to go and rush out onto the track after this, I didn't actually document my first race there in nearly 20 years, which was a shame, but I think it might have been a blessing because how much of a train wreck it was. The first technical gremlin I encountered was the steering system on the TT-02, and after that race I did actually hear from a few people a few horror stories that the TT-02 steering systems aren't the greatest, and that they had been experiencing similar issues with their system with what I had been experiencing. In fact, I'll just, I do actually have the battery in the car and plugged in, so I'll just demonstrate what is actually happening with this thing. I think at this angle you should be able to see it a lot better. Like, for example, when I steer in a particular direction, it would get stuck into that direction. Like, it wouldn't lock full forwards. Just about make it out there, so... And going on, actually I think I can... Really? Thought I'd just take the body off so you can see it a lot better. So, you can just about see... So if I... Let's say if I steer left, hang on, yeah, if I steer left it would go stuck into the left, and if I steer right, so yeah, there was that, but after that I have actually ordered some upgrades, So this is an all-metal steering system, which actually has some ball bearings in, which is nice. And with the way this thing is built, it should improve steering a lot better and have it steering how it should be. Now, I did actually see a few people actually using this, which explained why none of the TT-02s I saw there had the original system in it. Sorry about that. Also got a new servo horn as well, which I'm hoping should be, yeah, it should be the right size. I'll have to do a comparison before I fit that in, but I have ordered a couple of backups just in case that is the wrong one. The second issue was with the transponder. Now, I didn't want to say anything, but it's an A and B transponder from AliExpress, but it's only compatible with two systems, EasyLap and Robotronic, I think the other one's called. But the thing is, I didn't find this out until I actually got onto the track, because the system that Frome Radio Control Car Club were using, the transponder was not being picked up by that system. And, of course, with it being Friday the 13th, of course something like that was going to happen. So, this is coming out. And in place will be the MRT MPXT. And I know that some people might recommend that I get casing for this. However, to pay for casing, and this was direct from the manufacturer, costed, I think it was £11 more to buy with a casing on. And I 3D print stuff, so I may as well 3D print my own custom casing for this, so it'll work out a lot cheaper for me. So that's the transponder out. Don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this. So, next plan is to get that one in, get that steering column in, and that should be it. And I thought I'd just give a little cut of some of the races that I had. This is not quite, you obviously, So what I might do with that footage is do a separate unlisted video with all the races that I filmed uncut, as well as some additional little bits of sorry about a little bit of snippets of footage that I ended up filming during the race day. Now, the other problem as well, as I found out, I have got them in the bag. I'll just take one out just so you can show them. Because the TT-02 actually came with these tyres and hubs, and so I'm coughing a lot, I don't know why. But the thing okay, I'll just try that one again. So as I was trying to say, I have driven these on tarmac, and the traction isn't the greatest, and it also proved to be of an issue on the carpet that is used for the track as well. Because the issue I had with this was that it was causing the car to slide about, and I wasn't getting as much grip on the carpet as much as I could have done. But thankfully, AD Parker's was there from Racecraft RC with his pop-up shop, and he was selling contact pre-glued tyres. In the first race that I had with these, I was not experiencing anywhere near as much sliding as I was with the standard Tamiya tyre. So I'm actually really happy with these tyres, and AD, thank you so much for popping up with your pop-up shop. I love you forever. The other thing I want to talk about as well is marshalling. This was actually my very first time marshalling at radio control races, and I have to admit, it was terrifying and very nerve-wracking, because when you're there and when you're actually standing there, because you've got so many cars going around that track, and that's practically your responsibility, because obviously you've got to watch where you tread your foot, your timing, pacing, response, alertness. I'm trying to think of so many words to describe it. But marshalling, I got on with it a lot better the more I did it. There was one incident that happened, I believe it was my second time marshalling in general, where I ended up having to marshal the car back into place so it continued with the race, and I wasn't really that careful or thinking clearly of where I was putting my feet, which led to a car driving straight into my foot.
Oh, hang on. What's that? This way.
And at that point, I just remember feeling so gutted. Like my heart had instantly just dropped to the ground, because I was more worried about what damage I had done to that car, if that car was able to race for the rest of the day, rather than... It did hurt a little bit, but I was more concerned over the car than my own well-being. And if that was your car out there on the track that ended up driving into my foot, I feel really awful. I don't feel like I could apologise enough. But I obviously, with this marshalling thing being a new thing to me, I've took that on board to be more careful, to obviously watch where I put my feet, and will coordinate this more carefully to make sure I don't end up doing that thing again. And I have done a very poor job at trying to describe and get the words out for that. But despite the technical gremlins that I encountered with the car, 3 overall, it wasn't about winning or doing well to me. It was just basically the only reason why I went to race was just for the fun of it, and also just to get a feeler of the track and know what it's like, and also know how this car is like to drive. Because, like I said, I have previously raced there with a Tamiya MO3, which was 2-wheel drive, but this is actually my first time racing with a 4-wheel drive chassis, and I feel like that once I've got the upgrades in place, I feel like I'm going to start improving, and yeah, I think... So the next plan is, I'm actually going to wrap this up quick because the camera in my battery is about to die. So get the steering columns in place in the car, and also get the new transponder sorted. The shrink wrap should be fine for now, but I will do casing when I can, just to be on the safe side. And yeah, so that's it for this video. Hopefully I'm going to just stop right there because I'm worried the camera's just going to die as soon as I even think about saying my last few words. But thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in the next one.